Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
I'm here with Finley at the Grattan Elementary School protest today, which has been amazing.
It's like a field trip with science.
So Finley, what grade are you in? Tell us about yourself.
I'm in 4th grade. I go to Grattan Elementary School, as you said, and I'm organizing this protest to stop ICE. I think it's horrific that people are getting treated this way. I wish Trump would stop doing this to people.
So how did you get the kids, your classmates, motivated?
So it started with just, high school students in Minneapolis are walking out of school. That sounds like a thing I should do, but of course my principal can't authorize a school walkout. So then it ended up getting checked out of our after-school program, and then coming to the dog park, having Officer Rhodes and Officer Washington being here for safety.
Thank you for doing this for all the kids who are suffering around the country. It's really powerful.
Yeah, actually the sign you were holding earlier was the sign I made.
Yeah, it was a good sign. Good. Well, thank you for all you do, Finley. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy to be here today, and I want to say to all the kids, you are amazing. Those signs are amazing. You did a great job organizing this, and this gives me hope for the future.
That was creepy California State Senator Scott Weiner with a 4th grader promoting their propaganda. Hi everyone, Patrick here. I'm in the chair today. Joe's having a procedure done. Not a big deal. He will be fine. He is fine. He will be back in chair Monday. So just a brief little update. Still, you feel free to pray. Well wishes, of course, all the time. But there's a little procedure underway that Joe's having done today, and he'll be back Monday. So I'll be here today and tomorrow. But yeah, you see from the topic of today's show, right? It is what it is. We are in the battle for the kids. We don't want, and we're being called to this battle because they're going after the kids at every turn. Right? That is a state California Democrat commie representative, right? Using the kids as a propaganda tool to push their political agenda. And it starts in elementary school, right? College, for this young man in that video, college is 10 years away, right? He's in 4th grade now, so figure 10 years old. Yeah, college is in that kid's future in 10 years. So he's got another 10 years of this social programming through the levels of the school system until he gets to college, and then whatever happens there is going to happen there, right? So they just constantly go after the kids, all while the scores for reading and math throughout the country are in the toilet, right? It doesn't matter. Our kids don't need to know how to read. Our kids don't need to know how to write. As long as they're social justice warriors and their political activism is up and up, it's all good. Doesn't matter if the kids can read, doesn't matter if the kids can write, doesn't matter. We don't want the kids to think for themselves either, right? Because that would cause problems for us. We want them to be constantly social engineered. And that's what they're doing to the kids, right? In schools. That's one aspect of it. Then you got to look at what they're doing outside of schools, right? Hopefully they're involved in community, they're involved in teams, they're involved in some type of extracurricular activity that the parents can participate in, supervise of, create that partnership, not just ship your kid off for 3 hours. Oof, I got 3 hours. No, being a parent is hard. And if you haven't noticed yet, you need to be involved. You need to be aware. You need to be active, because if you are not, they will take your kid away from you without you even knowing. Because it is 24/7 social programming that's going on. It is social warfare with our kids. And we need to call it out. We need to be educated about it. We need to protect our kids. We need to spread awareness to our family and friends. We need to arm them so that they can arm their children. Because it is 24/7, right? School, boom. That's at least 8 hours in a day. Then you got to figure listening to music, watching TV, on your phone, your social media, right? Bing, bing, bing. Take a look what's pumping on TV. Who watches regular TV? No, not really, right? But if you go on Netflix and all this other stuff, right? It's all promoting trans, all promoting equity, all promoting the social rot. It's promoting the social rot online for our kids to see when they're not getting it at school. So it's a 24/7 war that parents need to be aware of and be ready to take on. Because if you're not ready to take it on, or if you're going to encourage what's occurring, you're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your kids to the ideological warfare that seemingly will never get turned off. And it's simple. It's simple why it doesn't, because we're connected 24/7, right? We're either on our computer or on our phone. We're watching something, right? So we're plugged in 24/7 too. So the war is a real deal problem for our kids. And our kids don't even know they're in the middle of this war. They're being used as political pawns. No one's looking to do what's best for the American child. No, giving the American child opportunities to read and write, opportunities for vocational education, opportunities to learn AI coding, right? That's going to be a big thing that these school districts are way far behind. They're not getting brought into speed with the AI wave, and that's going to create a whole other problem in another 3 to 5 years at the high school to college level, because you're going to be pumping out kids that are not compatible with the world today because the schools aren't producing them. Right? Everyone's talking about AI. AI is going to be great. Yeah, it is. It is. What does that mean for you if you don't know what to do with it, or how to use it, or how it works? How can you use it to generate money for yourself or an income? Because that's where the future is going. And I don't see any schools really addressing that concern. What these schools are worried about is social justice warriors. Pfft. Equity. Pfft. Defund ICE. Right? How come there's no universal push to, hey, let's get to universal reading averages at 70%. Let's have an average where, let's have a nationwide goal that will average at 70% of our kids can read at grade level by the time they're sophomores in high school. Why don't we start doing something like that? No, because they won't do it. Because that requires hard work. That actually requires hard conversations with families and addressing deficiencies in student learning, right? And it actually can be answered, and it's not answered by the color of the kid's skin. It's answered by the actual academic needs that the kid has. But those actual questions never actually get brought up in these school meetings, school board meetings, right? They don't. It's about what can we do to make our kids feel safe, make our kids feel welcomed. Everyone's welcomed at school, all right? That is a lie, number one, okay? Everyone is welcomed at school. No one's turned away at school. Everyone is welcome to come on in. Hey, everyone, have a great day, right? You should be walking around. If you're dropping your kid off at school, I guarantee you see either possible security guards out front, but definitely some type of paras or a school supervision that typically is out front to meet and greet kids, because that's part of the PR schools do, right? So there's no way schools are creating an unwelcoming environment for any kid. That doesn't happen, because that would be bad PR. Schools always welcome kids. Schools are more than welcoming to any kid to come in, right? That's the name of the game. But once those kids get inside, it's psychological warfare. And nobody knows about it. No one understands it, right? We talked a little bit about yesterday how at Cherry Creek School District, Campus Middle School is having this Spectrum Club meet during lunch, and parents weren't notified. But in this meeting, they'll be allowed to view LGBTQ clips, short stories, books, stuff of that nature. Parents weren't made aware of it, right? Psychological warfare. That's what it is. It is working against you as a parent. They believe you as a parent don't need to know what's going on at the schools. And we're going to do what we want to do at the schools because we want to make sure these kids are programmed to what we want them to be programmed to be. And parents today, it's hard to be a parent today. I'm a parent today. A 4-year-old wears the hell out of me when I see him. It's exhausting work, but I love every second of it. Because I know I love my boy and I'm setting my boy up for success. Like, my goal now is to make sure that kid will live a fruitful and great life when I'm gone and when my wife is gone. It's to set him up. But in order to set him up, I actually have to start teaching him about the psychological warfare that the public and the school system does to children. It is crazy. Like, Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel is a freaking off the chain psyop. Like, it is crazy what goes on and what she promotes. Like, we used to watch her, and then I started to see all these clips come out, and then watching how she talks, right? It's psychological programming for kids starting as young as 2, 3 years old. It is all over the place, and you just got to be aware. It sucks that we have to have this conversation in 2026, but you need to be more aware now than ever, because there's just so many forms of communication and just subtle subversions in the TV shows, in online things, that it just slips into the kid's head, right? They're subconsciously getting planted in a lot of cases. And in other cases, as they get older, middle school, high school level, they know what they're engaging in, they know what they're watching, and it keeps feeding them. So it feeds into their mindset anyway. You know, it's psychological warfare with our kids. And then with parenting, right, it's hard today. And unfortunately, you know, more than 50% of marriages end in divorce. So what do you wind up getting? You wind up getting co-parenting, where a kid sees his parent, one parent 3 days a week, the other parent 4 days a week, split households. And then in those households, you have, you know, mom may be dating a new dad, and dad may be dating a new mom, right? You got an introduction of outside, right? And it creates this whole other dynamic within the family. And it's the kid that winds up getting missed out on. And I could speak this from firsthand because I've dealt with co-parenting for 17 years in the school system, right? There are some families that can make it work, but the majority of them cannot, because mom and dad hate each other, won't talk to each other, right? Nothing's easy. Everything's got to be a battle, because that's just what it is. And you know who gets caught in the middle of it? The kid. You know who gets lost in the middle of it? The kid. You know who actually sees the kid and then brings the kid in and then connects with the kid, right? The school does it. The school fills that vacuum that's created when marriages fall apart and families fall apart, because the parents become so, a lot of times, pitted against each other, that whatever's better for the child is often ignored or not addressed, because they're so busy infighting amongst each other, the kid gets left behind. And then you have kids acting out. They start cutting themselves. They start acting and talking about being trans, because they're looking for the attention that they're not getting anymore. Right? So it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle that our kids are in the middle of. And if you're a parent and you're involved in this, I really think you need to take a step back, a deep breath, and reevaluate how you could co-parent with your significant other for the betterment of the child. And if you're watching the show, you probably do that, because the people that watch this show, I have found to be good, moral people. So I would assume that would mean you would make sure your child would be taken care of if God forbid your marriage was not to survive, right? But that is the reality, and it happens all over the place. I've seen it so much in the school systems, right? And now the school system becomes this place where political activism, social justice warriors, programming all occur in the absence of parent involvement, because the parents are too busy this day and age, or too distracted, or they have checked out and they figure and trust the school system to do what's right. I've talked to a lot of parents in my time and shared things that have occurred, and it blows their mind that there are things in school called affinity groups, where kids actually meet based on their race. They form these own little groups. They're called affinity groups. They create these own little groups. So you get your Black affinity group, you get your Latinx affinity group. They don't say Latino, they gotta say Latinx, even though the Hispanic kids hate that. But it's the woke virtual signaling that white women liberals do all the time, because they, oh, this is catchy. We got to throw this on. Kids are going to adapt to this, right? Mentally retarded. Then you have your Asian affinity group. You have your Spectrum Club, which is your alliance of LGBTQ kids, right? And you basically break down all these kids into all these different subgroups, instead of, hey, you're middle schoolers that go here, or hey, you're high schoolers that go here, right? It's another way to kind of do away with the uniform of coming together in unity, to do away with just unity and subverting these kids and subjecting these kids into becoming different little boxes, right? And that's kind of what the left and the commie playbook has always been. They always look ways to separate people into subgroups and different categories, because it does away with the actual unifying beliefs of people, right? Like, for example, America, unifying, great country, right? Everyone, if you come to America, you're like, no. We got to break it down into subgroups that have been oppressed here, or not seen, or not heard, and slowly peel away at that unifying belief that America is a great country, to what you have now today, which is you have middle schoolers and high schoolers walking around protesting ICE saying America is shit, right? It's been a long, slow march. It's all coming to a head, right? The battle for the kids has been going on a long time. Only recently now, I'd say over the past 8 to 10 years, people have become more aware of what's going on with their kids and the schools. And we're going to talk about that all over the place today. Okay, the schools come in, they're hijacked by the communists. Who are the communists? The communists are the teachers unions. Okay, school districts are run by the teachers unions, if you don't know that. How do I know that? Because I was part of it. The teachers unions go out, they pre-select the board members that they want to prop up. Everyone trusts the teachers union because there's teachers, right? And teachers always had this good connotation, this good, oh, they're good people, I'll trust what the teachers say. And that has been used as a camouflage to subvert what actually is good for the children through the teachers union. They operate as we're doing what's best for kids, but in reality, they're doing what's best for their political agenda, which is producing a generation of illiterate kids that cannot do math. That's what's going on in America. So the school unions partner with individuals that want to run for school board and, you know, whoever does what, and then they prop those members up on the school board to get selected. And then those individuals are now in charge of the school board. And now the school board and the teachers union are actually linked together. And then the teachers union go, oh, we need this, right? And they create this ruckus behind the scenes, but create this ruckus out in public. About, oh, we need more funding, we need more of this, we need more of that. Meanwhile, at the same time, they were the ones who picked the people that are giving them the funding that they're bitching about. Go figure. Right? Because they didn't pick them to actually run the district effectively, cost effectively, monetary, right? They picked them to run the district based on ideas, ideological beliefs, aka Communist Manifesto. And that's why what you get is what you get in a lot of these school districts, right? So it's not really the superintendents, it's not the assistant superintendents, it's the teachers union, and specifically more the school board members. The school board members know everything. The school board members run the district. The school board members talk to the superintendent pretty regularly. They have monthly meetings, they have weekly meetings in some cases. So the school boards know exactly what's going on in their district. They know what's going on because the superintendent is telling them. And if the school board doesn't like what the superintendent is doing, they would fire him. Because the school board is the one that actually hires the superintendent and negotiates the contract between the school district and the superintendent. So when Cherry Creek is hitting this whole thing, oh, Chris Smith created a toxic work culture, and we'll get into that a little bit more today because I didn't see any clips on local news last night, so we'll hit that again today. But when they talk about, oh, Chris Smith created this, no, the school board enabled it, and the school board's trying to actually step away and say, oh, no, not me, not me. No, it was you, and we got the receipts here. We got the letter that was written to the school board in 2024 about the toxic work culture Chris Smith was creating. Okay, in 2024, he resigned in 2026. So what happened? School board can't say they didn't know. School board was well aware. But they chose not to act, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But these school boards, these school districts all throughout the country are the biggest problems, okay? We're going to play a clip right now out of Washington State. This is a clip from Washington State where the teachers union is congratulating students about protests. Let's play it.
I would include our amazing students who have been taking action, not only in the city of Seattle, but across the state, in Wenatchee, Moses Lake, Richland, Spokane. Friends, the kids know what's up.
Okay, that's the Washington State Union talking to the kids. Okay, they know what's up. Can they read? Can they write? Can they function? Are they literate? And another question is, would you support a pro-ICE rally? Would they? Would school districts support kids organizing for a pro-ICE rally? We're going to have an ICE light-up day today where we support ICE. Would school districts support that? I would imagine they would have to, otherwise they'd be squashing the First Amendment speech of the other students. But I would guarantee most schools would be like, no, we're not allowing that today. And people would go back to class and they wouldn't cry. So the students wouldn't push the issue any further. Conservative parents wouldn't push the issue any further. And then the commies just run the school system the way they do. That's why you only see protests one way. Because the other side wouldn't be authorized to do it. The other side wouldn't be allowed to do it. That's why you see this. And it's also good PR for the school district, right? They get their kids on TV, right? Kids, oh yeah, kid, good for the kids, right? So it just programs even more the useful idiots down on the street level. Meanwhile, these kids are just nothing but political pawns, and they're going to be paying a hard price for the rest of their lives because they're not getting equipped with the skills that they're going to need to have in order to survive in the next wave of technology advancement. Which means they're probably going to be the group that gets stuck on universal basic income when we get there. And then they'll be relying on their social credit score. And if anyone is familiar with the social credit score, look into what it has done to people in China. Okay, that's a plan for here, guaranteed. And the left want to bring it here, and the left will bring it here, without question, because it's all about conformity. So I wonder what this teachers union rep from Washington State has to say about this next clip we're going to play. I want to play this clip. This is from a wrestling tournament in the state of Washington. I'm just going to play it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Get to your base! Get to your base! Get to your base! Why her face look like that?
If you take a look at that video and watch that video, you have someone recording, cheering her on, get to our base, get to your base, right? Doing what a normal supporter would say during a wrestling match, trying to cheer on her child. But if you're also watching that, you probably noticed a blurred image on your screen. Well, that young lady was wrestling against a transgender student. That was a man on top of that young student. And you actually watch that video again, you could see the fear in that student's eyes because she knew something was occurring during that match that shouldn't be occurring. That young man's was touching that young lady's private parts. Let's put up the next post, please. This is from one of our favorites here, Free as Can Be. We've had him in studio a couple weeks ago. Really cool guy doing a whole bunch of interviews about what's going on in Colorado, the political corruption, the race for governorship, right? Really cool guy, but he put this up about this. Democrats call this equality. Bring back mental institutions, bring back parenting. Years ago, we would have laughed at the idea of boys and girls sports. Now young ladies are left vulnerable and their voices and opinions are silenced. Her fingers are in my vagina. Kaylee Keller, a 16-year-old female athlete, was unknowingly matched against a teenage boy in a girls' wrestling competition. Keller alleges she was sexually assaulted during the match. She attempted to call out to her mother during the struggle, but her mom couldn't understand her. The girl, terrified and overwhelmed, allowed her opponent to win to bring a quick end to the match, later discovering that her opponent was male. He's now qualified for the upcoming Washington Girls State Championship. That young lady was sexually assaulted by a transgender, by a him, in a wrestling match. And the state of Washington allowed this to happen. So I wonder what that organizer talking to those kids about being proud about them, about being nice, I wonder what he's got to say about a young lady competing for a state championship to the best of her ability being sexually assaulted by someone that is not the same sex as her. I feel so bad for that young lady. Horrible. You could see the helpless look in her eyes during that video. And where's the outrage here? Nowhere. No one's speaking about it. Libs of TikTok gets it out there. That's it. It's a freaking shame that this is going on. And this needs to be a wake-up call to everyone that has a daughter. Did you hear that story? This young lady did not know she was competing against a male. They hid that from her. You need to wake up. Boys and girls are different. And then this creep kid decides to take advantage of the situation he's in to actually touch this young lady in a sexual manner during a wrestling match. Can you say disgusting? And not to mention, this was covered up by the district for 2 months before they actually did an investigation. Absolutely despicable, because it's a war on our kids. It's a war on our young girls. Anyone that has a daughter should be absolutely horrified about this story. And you need to be aware that this could possibly happen to your daughter one day. Don't sit there and pretend it can't. This young lady was placed in a situation she did not know. She assumed she was competing against another female in a female state competition for wrestling. So you can never assume anything. This is what the left has done to us. This is what the commies have done to us. You need to question everything when your daughter is playing high school sports, because you don't know if the district or the state is crazy and then masking boys as girls and then not telling who they're competing against. This is the society in 2026 we're in. President Trump, you're in charge. Why is these things continuously happening? Why are school districts allowed to continuously fund DEI, LGBTQI? Why are not federal funds being pulled from these schools? They have no reason to change what they're doing. So who pays the price? Our kids. That young lady will be scarred for life. That look in her eye, you could see the moment when she's like, I'm helpless here. I don't know what's happening and this is wrong. You see that look in her eye. How many other young ladies have had that look when competing in sports? How many other young ladies have been knocked out on the court because they're playing against physically superior people? I'm sorry, that's the genetics of it. Men are physically superior to women. We hit puberty and it goes astronomically faster. It's the truth, right? A couple years ago, Summer Olympics, the Italian boxer refused to compete against the male, and everyone's like, oh, no, it's all good, it's all good. Well, did you see a story that recently came out, I think it was a couple days ago, that boxer had the male chromosome. So the boxer from Italy was robbed of a chance of competing for a gold medal because she didn't want to get punched in the face by a man. And by the way, what man are you to actually do this to women? You're not a man, you're a pussy. You're a can't hack it man. That's what you are in any sport that you have to go play and compete against women. You know, how come there's no movement of females wanting to compete in male sports if there's no difference? Why doesn't that happen? If there's no difference, how come there's no women looking to compete in male sports? How come no women are signing up to fight in the heavyweight division in boxing? Why isn't that happening? How come women are saying, yo, you know what, I'm not getting paid the right money in the WNBA, so I'm going to go ink a deal in the NBA and say I'm a man? How come that doesn't happen? Because there are differences, and everyone knows it's crazy. But yet we still subject our young women in this country to this bullshit every day. It's absolutely disgraceful. And anyone that actually condones this and supports boys and girls sports, you have serious mental health issues. You have no clue what you're doing to the young generation of females. You're victimizing some, and others, you're making warriors. And you're going to reap what you sow on both ends. You're going to have a group of victims walk around, but then you're going to have a bunch of tough as shit females that are not going to take any shit from anybody, because they're going to be the ones that saw the garbage, called out the garbage, survived the garbage, and is not going to tolerate the garbage. You're going to develop a whole class of warriors coming up behind this. You have no idea what you're doing here. And then you have activist teachers, right? So you get it all. You have in high school sports, athletics, females being assaulted. You also get activist teachers in the classrooms all day, every day. Please, we can make all shows about the crazy people that are teachers this day and age. About all teaching's political. This is my, right? All these warriors that got programmed, that have no purpose in life. They have nothing to go home to except maybe their cat. Right? But this is McAllister Huhan, an elementary school teacher in North Carolina, who calls herself the neurodivergent teacher, and she puts content out. Let's take a look at her.
That sounds like a you problem.
So one way that we can help prevent another burst of concerning behaviors for all of our students everywhere is speaking out against what is happening in Minnesota, against ICE in our schools and in our communities, causing mass trauma for our entire school system, for our entire community, for all of our students.
Excuse me. She's a moron. Anyone that acts this way and makes videos about it as a teacher, you really need to reevaluate what you're doing with your life. Okay, some of the things she talks about. No human is illegal on stolen land. Okay, let's get into that. You're right, no human is illegal, but humans can commit illegal actions, right? So like coming into another one's country is illegal. There's repercussions for that, right? And by the way, McAllister, do you leave your door unlocked? Do you leave your door wide open? Be like, hey, come on in, free shit. You know, you want to grab a snack? You want to take some money out of my wallet? You want to grab a shower? Grab a shave? Right? No, I bet you she locks her door. Guarantee she locks her door, make sure no one comes in that she doesn't want in there. But it's okay to do that to our country, but not your house. Why? If anything, people that want illegal immigrants here should be the ones that sign up to actually do like a sponsorship of them. You feed them, you clothe them, you give them your money, set them up with a job. Let's see how long that lasts. Right? Remember the whole Martha's Vineyards fiasco, man? That was so great. When Governor Abbott just started sending illegals up to Martha's Vineyard, to all those woke tards up there that were virtual signaling from their yachts. Let them in, no one's illegal, right? Up until they got shipped up to Martha's Vineyard and they started to see them like, oh shit. They're sending brown folks up here? Hell no. And how quick did they get them out of Martha's Vineyard? Anyone remember that? I remember that. It was funny as hell. Proved their hypocrisy right off jump. You know, and those houses are huge, man. 8, 9 bedrooms, man. You can get a whole bunch of them up in there. But they never did because, you know, it'll affect them. It'll affect their gated community. It'll affect their day-to-day. No, I don't want to see this. I think get this out of here. This beautiful view of the Atlantic Ocean. Get this riff-raff out of here. I can't look at this. That's what they do. That's what this idiot teacher is. Teaching is political. No, it's not. Teaching is not political. Teaching is basic. You teach kids how to read, write, and think. You don't teach kids what to think. You teach kids how to think or how to dissect a problem. But that doesn't happen in schools anymore. There's no critical thinking skills. It's either you actually follow these social norms or you'll get consequenced. You know, I had a kid sent to me once because he said there's 2 genders in class. Teacher wanted to write him up for that, for hate speech, because a trans kid in class had their feelings hurt. I said, are you crazy? I'm not doing this. That teacher actually works for Jason Crow now. Go figure. True story. True story. She knows it and I know it. Not going to name names, but she knows and I know. And she works for Jason Crow now. Go figure. She was a social studies teacher where I used to work at, you know, big political activist, right? Didn't like the kid that said, oh, there's 2 genders. What caused this to happen, by the way? Well, so-and-so said there were 65 genders. Okay, and so this kid can't say it back? Well, I'm not here to police their speech. No, that's exactly what you're trying to do because you gave me a referral. You wanted me to discipline this kid for that. I wonder how much that actually still goes on. I'm pretty sure a lot. But she knows and I know. And she works for a Democrat rep out here in Colorado. Can't make this shit up. 100% true. Fact check me. Dare you. Defund the police. Abolish ICE. Okay. Protect trans kids. Speak out against what's happening in Minnesota against ICE. How about learn to read? Learn to read. Right? None of that is there because they want to produce activists. Dumb, uneducated, ill-informed activists. That's what school is about. No human is on stolen land. Yeah, okay. How come she wasn't making content videos? Like, people forget. people forget that. Oh, and by the way, ICE is not going into schools. ICE is not causing trauma amongst the kids. You know who's causing trauma amongst the kids? It's the teachers that are lying to the kids about what ICE is doing that is causing the trauma. Let's not get it twisted. I have not seen one news clip of ICE going into any school. Okay, I worked out here in Colorado for 10 years. I've been programmed, oh, no, we got to keep our kids safe. You know, if they're illegally coming to school, okay, I hear that. I've never seen an ICE agent show up at school when I was working in school systems. And believe me, I had illegal kids in my schools. And I served them. I treated them fairly, treated them the way they deserve to be treated as a student of that school, because that's what I did. I wasn't calling police or ICE to come get these kids. That isn't my job. And ICE never went to the schools to pick up kids. And police never went to school to get kids. Except, I'll tell you, listen to me, police get kids at schools if they have felony warrant active. Now, if you want a kid going to school that has an active felony warrant with your kid in it, you got problems. You got problems if you believe having a warrant as a felony warrant active is okay for someone that's 16, 17, 18 years old in a public school system. Oh, they need to feel safe there. No, they don't. They victimize the community. They don't deserve to feel safe in the school. They need to be picked up and held accountable. Gun charge, sexual assault. You want those kids walking around schools that have warrants out that have to go handle that? No, those kids deserve to get picked up, 100%. But most of the time, police don't do it because it gives the police a bad rep. So the kid goes into school, and 9 times out of 10, the kid that has a felony criminal warrant, let's be honest here, isn't the most upstanding citizen in the school. You know what I'm saying? Typically not. They don't go to class on time. They very rarely go to class, do their work. No, it doesn't happen. Speaking in I want to say I had 4 kids that had felony criminal warrants that I know about. Yeah, they weren't the best kids. Newsflash. And one of them actually got arrested in school with a handgun, trying to sell it in the bathroom that we had to lock the school down for, and I had to work with Aurora PD to come pull that kid out. True story. Why? Because the dean that was over that kid was an equity dean, didn't like to do searches. The kid was on a safety plan. The kid was supposed to be searched to come into school. I believe she didn't do it, and he wound up having a loaded gun for sale that day. True story, fact check me. She left APS and went up to Bennett, I believe, or Adams 12. But yeah, that also happened. Not naming names, but that did happen. And unfortunately, that young man that was taken out in cuffs because the cops are walking him out with a 9mm hanging out of their hand like this, he's cursing the cops as they're walking him out of Hinckley. It happened at Hinckley High School when I was a dean there. That young man was found shot a couple years later in a bathroom in a hotel. So that was the type of life that kid was living. Okay? Schools need to be protected. Kids that want to go to schools to do the right thing need to be protected. Kids that want to go to school to do the wrong things need to be kicked out. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Right? But let's not forget, right? This teacher's making this whole thing, no one's illegal, this, that, and the other thing. I wonder if she made any TikToks for Laken Riley. You think she made any TikToks for Laken Riley? You guys remember that name? The 22-year-old University of Georgia student who was killed in February of 2024 while jogging on campus in Athens, Georgia? Anyone remember her? She was beaten to death. Her skull was disfigured. The suspect, Jose Antonio Ibarra, was a Venezuelan national who entered illegally in 2022. He was charged with murder and other related crimes. I wonder if she made a TikTok for Laken. How about Rachel Morin, 37, mother of 5, who was brutally assaulted, raped, and murdered in August of 23 while hiking on a trail in Harford County, Maryland. Her body was found hidden in a covert. The suspect, Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, a Salvadorian national who entered illegally and had prior alleged crimes in El Salvador, was arrested after a nationwide manhunt. Where's the content from this young lady for her? Or how about her 5 kids? You want to talk about the trauma that your kid, how about the trauma of that young lady's 5 children that lost their mother who was brutally beaten and raped. That's what they know happened to their mother. No tears about it though, right? No, right? Because it doesn't fit your narrative. It doesn't matter. It matters to those 5 young ladies. It should matter to every American that's been victimized by someone that shouldn't be here. Because lives change forever. I don't want to hear it. If someone's not supposed to be here and they kill someone, that person that was killed should still be here if that person didn't come here illegally and was allowed to stay based on bullshit sanctuary policies. Or how about Jocelyn Nungaray? She was abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered in June of 2024 in Houston, Texas. Her body was found in a bayou. 10 Venezuelan nationals who entered illegally early in 2024 and were released pending proceedings were charged. Or Kayla Hamilton, bound, assaulted, and strangled in her home in Aberdeen, Maryland in 2023. The suspect was an undocumented immigrant. Let's not forget about the hundreds of thousands others that were killed or murdered because of illegal immigrants. DWIs, DUIs, drunk drivers that kill people, truck drivers that kill people. You guys heard about the Amish family of 4 were killed two weeks ago in Pennsylvania? Or I think it was Ohio, actually. Tractor trailer ran into their buggy, driver, illegal immigrant. Where's the outrage there? There is no outrage because it defeats their narrative. Okay? Criminal, illegal aliens have to go. Illegal aliens need to go. Plain and simple. We need to get our house in order. We are so out of order, it's out of control. Our finances out of order. Our immigration policies are out of order. Our immigration enforcement's out of order. Our medical system's out of order. There's fraud everywhere. Our election systems are out of order. Right? Everything's just throw it up in the air. It's crazy. And on top of all this, we're talking that teacher's talking about the kids this, the kids that. Right? And we open with this Democratic state senator talking about the kids. Well, let's talk about the dark side of the kid trade, right? The sex trafficking, the illegal alien kids that come here unaccompanied. What happens to them, right? Well, listen to what Tom Homan uncovered in Minneapolis with the ICE raids that were going on. Listen to how many kids they just found there alone. Roll it.
In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE here in this state have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children. Children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because of the leadership of President Trump, these children were located.
Did you guys hear that? We're talking about kids, right? No kids illegal. No one's illegal on stolen lands. The kids this. You had 3,364 unaccompanied alien kids that were found in Minnesota during these raids. What is that about? That's one state. And they didn't even hit up the whole state, really, right? It was mainly concentrated in Minneapolis. That's one state. How many unaccompanied minors are there throughout this country and what's going on with them? Who's taking care of them? Anyone care to ask? The Biden administration busted the borders open, let anybody in, right? Perfect cover for sex trafficking. Perfect cover for these kids to be victimized over and over and over and over and over again. Purposely being done. War on children. Purposely being done. Get these kids in here, sell them to people, trade them off as sex slaves, what have you. That's what's going on to these kids. And that is just in one state. We have 49 others. And others are bigger than that state. So I wonder actually how many unaccompanied minors are there in this country and what is happening to them. And why aren't the commies going crazy about it? Why aren't they concerned about the safety of all these kids? They never say a word about all these kids that come over here without any parents but somehow just disappear into America. No one seems to care what happens to them. Why? Because they don't. They don't care what happens to them. That's the truth of it. The commies don't care. It's a war on our children. Not just mine, not just yours, but all children, all throughout the globe, right? Some of them, it's a war on culture, getting them to get programmed certain ways. Another one is sexual. Another one is sex trafficking. It's all around us. The world is crazier today than it was 50 years ago. The world today is less safe for our kids than they were 50 years ago. How is that remotely possible? Because our leaders in charge have allowed this to occur. Because they benefit from this. They benefit from the chaos. If you take a look at the Epstein files that are coming out, like, holy shit, some of these emails, insane. And you're telling me this isn't a purposeful war on our kids to get some of our kids lost into sex trafficking? It so 100% is. The most vulnerable, no one seems to want to protect. The youth. Because the youth is money. There's money in sex trafficking. There's money in indentured servitude that some of these kids are being sold into. There's money here. That's why it's allowed to roll. And once again, everyone forgets, why were we in Minneapolis to begin with? The fraud that was uncovered, right? And the chaos that came from ICE showing up wasn't for ICE showing up. The chaos was there to get the eyes off of the fraud that was going on. Because what else was going on with the fraud? Trafficking of kids, guaranteed. It's all tied together. That's why the pushback was just so massive in Minneapolis, that they had to get the eyes and reporting off of the fraud and get it onto ICE. And how'd you get it onto ICE? You mobilize your Antifa foot soldiers. And look where it's gotten us. We're withdrawing out of Minneapolis now. Where's the talk about the fraud, though? I haven't heard a lot recently. Seems like that has gone away. You know, it's all this political theater game, moving the shell around the board. Look here, but it's over here. Right? Like ICE is supposedly going on to different cities. Homan said it later in the press conference. I don't have that clip, but later on in the press conference or earlier on, whatever, same thing. He's talking about how, you know, these ICE agents are going to be moving around different areas of the country. All right, great. Let's see what that looks like now. Are we going to hit the ground running again? Are we going to be more reserved? I don't know. I just know that the numbers that need to go aren't going to be met. So to me, that means a net loss. Because what that means is after Trump's out, and the commies win, they're just going to bust the floodgates wide open again. And we'll be at a net loss, then plus bringing more in. It's just going to be, it's going to be insane. You're going to be stuck under a waterfall of just illegal immigrants coming in. And that's the truth. And there's financial repercussions for this. Like, that's the reality. There are financial repercussions for that. Why do you think car insurance is so high? Why do you think health insurance is so high? Don't tell me inflation. No, it's because illegals take advantage of the system. Their accidents, their medical bills, don't get paid by them, so they need to get passed off the buck to somebody else. Who's that? Us. That's the truth. Tell me I'm a liar. But that's the reality. Like, more medical bills, I told you about yesterday. Like, I got more charges. Like, well, I paid you up front. You told me this is what I owe. But no, medical companies are allowed to do this. They're allowed to audit their bills and shit, and then they're allowed to hit you with a bill up to a year later for services rendered. So yeah, they go through there. I guarantee most of you probably had this happen to you because medical companies are going through these bills to make sure they can suck every last cent out of you because they need to supplement what they're not getting from the illegals. How much is it to have a kid? 40, 50 grand in a hospital? Okay. Who's having more kids in America this day and age? White people or illegals? Americans or illegals? Go back and forth. Go back and forth. Someone's got to pay for it. Those costs are so much because for every one we have, we're paying for two. We're paying one for ours. We're paying one for the illegals. That's why it's so much. Newsflash for you. Same thing with your medical costs. Every time you go to the doctor, your cost is probably double because you got to supplement for who's not paying. But that's all good. No one's illegal. No, just my pocket goes empty. I pay for medical insurance that doesn't cover shit. I pay taxes and I get no benefit from it. Why? Because the American people, like we said yesterday, is at the bottom of the totem pole. And then you get these moron parents that are programming their kids, right? These liberal women, these white liberal women who are absolutely off their rockers. This is what a white woman liberal does with her kid. This is what they do for fun time. Let's play cut 7.
Christy Noem is a bird-legged hoe. I said Christy Noem is a bird-legged hoe. Oh, Christy Noem is a bird-legged hoe. That hoe has got to go. Christy Noem is a bird-legged hoe. Come on. Christy Noem is a bird-legged hoe. Hey. Christy Noem is a...
Okay, that's how deranged white liberal women are. Okay? That's how much they need validation from young people in online. That's what they need. They need validation because their lives are so empty, even though she has a daughter right next to her coloring a sign that says F ICE. And she's making another sign about the police. Why don't you do something more constructive with your daughter? But it's the programming. I'm sure that young lady is going to turn out just absolutely fine. And then you look at the mom, just look at the mom, you can tell the mom's a wreck. This is like the biggest thing to her. Anti-ICE protests, gotta get my clout. I gotta make this TikTok video. I gotta drop that Christy Noem music behind it. I gotta look good on my social media clout because I need that validation because my life is so empty. That's what the left does. Like, that's what they need. That's what a lot of these teachers need. Their lives are so empty that they need the validation from their kids in front of them, and then they need the validation from their social online warrior army as well, because their lives are completely nothing. It's these social justice warriors that have nothing else going on. Like, you have your kid there. You can do so many other things with your kid, but this is what you decide to do to have fun and do constructive things with your kid. And they're not the only one. We talked about yesterday. These commies take their kids to ICE protests. They take them to Antifa marches. They chop off their pee-pees when they're 7 years old. That's the left. That's the commies. It's a war on the kids. That's why you got to fight like hell to protect yours. And we talked about this a little earlier, but, you know, war on kids again. Let's pull up the Cherry Creek, the CPAN alert from the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. Once again, Lori does great work. If you have a chance, drop by their page, see if you can contribute some bucks. They do need some funding. We would like to have Lori on in a couple of weeks, and we'll get more info going. But yeah, CPAN alert, Cherry Creek Schools. Ba-ba-da-ba! The hostile environment for faculty, staff, and parents didn't happen overnight. The real question is what the school board knew and when. That's where investigators should be looking next. Denver Channel, CBS News Colorado, Cherry Creek School District. Hey, Kyle Clark. Here you go. Oh, they got 2 more on leave. Look at that. Cherry Creek School District, 2 more placed on administrative leave. Why is that? Oh, insubordination by one? And then the other one's married to him? Why do they have people that are married working together on these top school administrative staffs? Why does that happen? Because they're a criminal cartel. And then the school district is going to tell you, the school board's going to tell you, well, we didn't know anything. I'm not aware of anything. Well, I'm just going to pull something up real quick. I got something I just want to tease a little bit, share it to you. You can leave that up, Damon. Leave that up for a second. So we got the letter. It's dated December 27th, 2024. Hi, Cherry Creek. How you doing? Ineffective leadership and retaliatory practices of Superintendent Chris Smith and Chief of Human Resources Brenda Smith. So yeah, we got the letter that some principals sent to the school board. Okay? We got the letters. As principals in the Cherry Creek School District, we respectfully present to you this letter of concern regarding ineffective leadership and possible violations of law and/or policy exhibited by Superintendent Mr. Chris Smith and his wife Brenda Smith, Chief of Human Resources, We expect that all legal job protections will be extended to us per the Protections for Public Workers Act as we share our concerns with the Board of Education below. We also expect that the schools we represent are not harmed in staffing, financial support, or any other means available to district leadership. Do you hear how that letter begins? And we got the whole 7 pages here. Right, Cherry Creek? Got the whole 7 pages here. Did you make this letter publicly available, school board, when you got it? We will. But did you? Are you addressing it? Are you going to play, oh, we didn't know? The date on the letter clearly states December 27th, 2024. You 100% knew. Okay? And you want to know else how you know? You got slapped with a federal lawsuit by me in September of 2024. So you 100% know the toxic work environment that was going on at Cherry Creek School District. You knew before this letter from the principals came out because I slapped you with one. You got a federal lawsuit. Discrimination, retaliatory practices, civil rights violations. You were well aware in September of 2024. And what'd you do? You doubled down and you're fighting my lawsuit. You get a letter from the principals alleging this, right? What do? Nothing. You protect Chris Smith. Well, anybody in the local news media, do your job. Go ask the school board specifically. The new superintendent, Jen Perry, what did she know? She knows everything. She was the number 2 there. Everyone knows what's going on at that district because they protect each other. The school board knows. And the school board chose not to do anything because that's what they wanted done. They are all complicit. But why don't you guys do your reporting, Kyle Clark? Get out there, baby. Channel 9 News, bringing you the community. Get out there and do some reporting. Do some hard-hitting fact-checking. When the school board said, we didn't know about it. Yeah, ask them, well, how come, what happened with the federal lawsuit that you got slapped with in September of 2024? What about this letter that is out there that came to you from the principals within your own school district? What about the DOJ complaint that is submitted for civil rights violation from December of 2025 that is facing Cherry Creek? Right? These aren't all accidents. They're not coincidence, right? Because it is corruption being shown. Light is being shown on the corruption. Now, what is the local media going to do about it? Are you going to bust the stories open? Are you going to do investigative research? Are you going to look at some possible, I don't know, maybe some principals that are part of some nonprofits or educational consultants firms that are contracted out from the school district? Maybe you should look into something like that. Maybe something like that is going on in Cherry Creek. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe there's some principals that have ties to nonprofits and educational consulting groups that are then contracted out by the district to run professional developments among their schools. Does that happen? Ooh, it would be great if some investigative reporting were done. Right, Kyle Clark? Because you're about the people here. You talk about bringing accountability. What other accountability do you need to show light that Cherry Creek is corrupt? And it's all being reported. It's out there. Go do an interview with Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. I dare you to call Lori and set up an honest interview about the corruption that's going on at Cherry Creek. Because you protect your own. You are a communist news network. You do not care about the people of Colorado. All you care about is about protecting DEI, equity, and the left, and the communists that are in charge, Kyle Clark. Why? Because you too, sir, are a communist as well. You're a graduate of Ithaca College, right? Go look up Ithaca College. Far left-leaning institution in upstate New York. You, sir, are a communist. You will never report on this. Because once again, it's bad for business. Because you're going to show how evil and corrupt your side is. Because that school board is run completely by one side of the political spectrum. They finally allowed a man on the school board, I saw, but it was Bates's husband. And if anyone knows, right, she said, she had the news clip of, oh, we don't need any white males on it. Well, she forgot to finish that statement. She finished it 4 years later, except if it's my husband. But I don't know if that's allowed because they don't want white males on the board. So maybe he's a tranny. I don't know. But yeah, that's Cherry Creek School Board. They're all complicit in it. All of them know it. They know and encourage what happened. And they're just allowing Chris Smith to be the fall guy, Brenda Smith to be the fall guy. And I'm not shedding any tears for them, right? They all deserve to go down. But the school board, too, itself needs to go down because they are the corrupt ones as well. And they're the ones who are planting these seeds and making sure all this stuff that's going on in Cherry Creek school districts all over the place, hiding stuff from parents, right? Promoting Spectrum Club, promoting affinity groups, all while reading and math scores are low. That's who's in charge of the Cherry Creek School District. That's what their priorities are. And also doing away with academic success, right? They eliminated valedictorian, right? No high school in this school district of Cherry Creek has a valedictorian anymore because that was considered harmful. So they did away with it. Well, Cherry Creek, your policies are harmful. It is very clear your policies are harmful, being your superintendent resigned in disgrace and you're putting everyone on leave out. You can't just blame everyone. Look in the mirror, Cherry Creek School District School Board. It is you, and you can't run forever. It's a shame. Shame. I heard that school district used to be great. Look how far they have fallen. Absolutely, absolutely a shame. And then let's keep on going with our war on kids. Unfortunately, there was a shooting yesterday in Canada at a high school where a 17-year-old opened fire, killed 10, himself included, 25 injured. We're not going to show any of that. There's clips of that thing out there. We're not going to address that person, but we are going to put this up. There's a post that went out that Elon Musk piggybacked on. Who is behind mass shootings? Mass shootings meaning 4 or more deaths per million people by group. Take a look at the top two. Trans, bio male. Trans, bio female. Asian men, black men, white men. Oh, white men dropping down that chart. We're only ahead of Asian women and Hispanic men. Wow. Wow, I guess those white people aren't as violent as we thought we were, or that we were told we were. But take a look at those top two. Trans. Trans shooting is led by the youth, confused male and females that instead of getting the actual therapy and support that they need, they get the gender-affirming care and the SSRIs that lead to this. It's the reality that we live in. But yet, we know this is happening now, but how come we still push forward with gender-affirming care? Why? Because it's a war on our children. And I'm not saying there aren't kids out there that aren't confused. There are. That doesn't mean you have to affirm their confusion. It's okay to be confused for a while. There's no right or wrong answer. It's okay to go through steps to kind of figure it out instead of just saying, I feel like a girl today. All right, you're Daisy, boom, and you're in. Right? But these kids that are going through these transitions typically have mental health issues. It's not just there's other things, depression, suicide tendencies. There's other things that are going on behind the scenes. And then the trans wave takes off in the public school system. And then these kids that come out as being trans or wanting to be trans, they're held up as heroes, right? So they get that public affirmation and that peer affirmation that they're missing somewhere. It's psychological warfare just all over the place with our youth. And I feel horrible for our kids that are caught up in the middle of it. If you don't have strong parents with a strong foundation that give you strong principles, a lot of kids are going to get lost in what's going on out there. And I will keep calling this out. Kids need to be protected. Kids need to be informed. Kids need to be heard. Okay, these kids that are doing these pro-ICE, all this shit, man, give me a break. These kids are being pushed to do it by their teachers. Okay, if it was really important to the kids, they'll be doing it on their time, on the weekends. Okay, they don't. They want to miss class. And their teachers want to miss class too. So like, hey, perfect storm. Let's go protest for 2 hours and say we were doing good work. That's the truth. That's like what happens. Morin kids, man, crazy. We're going to shift gears a little bit now. We'll come back to kids, though, later. We're going to shift gears a little bit. There's a hearing going on the Hill today, and you have the Attorney General from Minnesota, Mr. Keith Ellison. I don't know how he's not in jail. He was made aware of the fraud in Minnesota, turned a blind eye to it, probably facilitated some of it. But he's on the Hill, and he just got bodied by Senator Bernie Moreno when he was asked about ICE and immigration. Check this clip out.
The country illegally, or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
My simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay, so if somebody breaks into your home, should they be arrested for breaking and entering, or does it depend?
It's an entirely different scenario.
How's that?
Because immigration is essentially a civil, and the breaking into my home is a criminal matter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So if there's laws that should be enforced, so we shouldn't enforce civil violations?
We absolutely should enforce them.
But you just said that it's a civil matter, so it's different. So if somebody
you enforce civil matters.
So if somebody commits a civil infraction, it shouldn't be enforced?
It should be.
Okay, so they should be deported.
No, they should have due process that is associated with their petition. So, for example,
so the act of entering the country illegally, you think we should say, well, did you really do it or not do it? It's pretty obvious that they did, right?
Well, I mean, it would depend on the facts of the situation, and then they might say...
I just gave you the facts. They entered the country without permission.
But, Senator, what if they had a good faith basis to say they would be persecuted in their home country and subjected to real oppression there under international law? There are provisions for them to make a case.
That's a phenomenal point. Mexico and Canada, do you consider those to be safe countries or no?
Generally, I do, but there are certain
generally you do?
Well,
So yeah. You should be allowed to come here illegally. You should have an open door policy. Keith Ellison made that perfectly clear. It's a civil infraction, so they shouldn't be deported? Well, what if this? No, what if nothing, right? And the reason why they were talking about Canada and Mexico, because what Ellison's going to talk about in that clip is about what if they're coming here for asylum, they're going to be persecuted in their country, and then Senator Moreno bodies them right back and says, well, you know what? Asylum laws doesn't guarantee you get access to America. Asylum, you can go seek to the safest country nearest your border. Right? So that's why Senator Moreno was lining up Mexico, because Mexico is a safe country. Illegal aliens that are looking for asylum would be able to claim asylum in Mexico. But they don't want that because they want to flood our borders with illegal immigrants. And if there is so much persecution going on in Central South America or where everyone's coming, where are the news clips? Where are the highlights? Where is it? Where's the media propaganda war being unleashed on us to make us see the persecution of Latin and South American people? Because it's not happening. Now, the economics down there not great? Sure, it's not. It's not great. But does that mean they're being persecuted down there for any type of belief? No, it's not. So what those people want to do is they want to direct their way up, which is a far way to go. It's hard to do. And they want to come here and get free shit. And the Democrats want to support that. Because there is a process to come to this country legally. Just most people say, hell with that. Why? I can just walk in illegally and I'll be fine too. And that's what happens because no one enforced it. And then Trump enforces it and you get people crying about it. And then you get an attorney general that can't really answer a question whether or not it's legal or illegal to enter a country. There's a legal way to do it. There's an illegal way to do it. If you do it illegally, you got to go. Plain and simple. You don't get passed and then come in and then get hit off with all these entitlements. Like, no, that's bizarro world. But it shows that they can't answer it. And then you had Tampon Tim out there. He was at a press conference today talking about Tom Homan and ICE leaving. Let's hear what this other beaut in Minneapolis had to say.
I'm certainly not going to spike the football, but you're not going to hear me express any gratitude for the people who caused this unnecessary, unwarranted, and in many cases unconstitutional assault on our state. And my expectation is we still need to have those investigations. And I'm telling you, in this economic crisis they created, all of these cabinet agents came in here to try and please the president by attacking Minnesota. So we have a $2 billion cut from Dr. Oz in our DHS programs that are rural hospitals and things. So it doesn't change it at all. And I think the lessons learned, I'm more than happy to help Congress say some things, is in America, you cannot expect that the people are going to be okay with masked, unidentified people running you off the road and coming to your vehicle at gunpoint like we saw in St. Peter, Minnesota.
This guy's a freaking clown. How is he not arrested yet? He's talking about, oh, not okay with masked armed agents, this, that, and the other thing. Remember what he did during COVID? He sent masked shock troops out into the streets to force people to put masks on and check them at home, make sure they're wearing shit, right? Didn't he do that? And he also charged the couple that had their AK protecting their property while BLM marched through their gated community. And then he made sure this other clown that we just had Ellison on, make sure he charged them. Right? This guy's so full of shit. And somehow he's still walking around here, free as a bird, talking about, oh, now $2 billion is going to be cut from rural hospitals. Like, you give a shit, dude. You allowed so much fraud to actually go through your state. And now that Trump's pulling money back, you're going to play the victim. You're such a flake, dude. And this is the bullshit I talk about. Like, enough of these games. Can you just go in there and arrest him for sedition for enabling criminal illegal aliens to run a criminal enterprise of fraud within your state? I would think that'd be good enough for a treasonous charge or sedition charge to start, or just a RICO charge. You'll lump him in with it. He conspired with him by willfully turning a blind eye as a public servant and steward of good faith money. Like, he did this, 100%. But once again, this goes back to yesterday, right? No one is ever held accountable. The only ones that are ever held accountable are you and me, the regular everyday American that is in the streets, that deals with all this political bullshit that's in our face all the time. In the grocery stores, online, right? We got to deal with all this shit all the time because we actually don't have the gated community, the private chauffeur, the private security. We don't have that, right? We get thrown to the wolves. All these communist traitors need to be locked up or thrown away. Otherwise, they will come and lock us up. It's one or the other. It is one or the other. And they can't even tell the truth. And I'll be honest, outside has a hard time telling the truth too sometimes. But they literally cannot tell the truth about anything. They caused this. No, you caused it, Timmy boy. You allowed the fraud. You enabled the fraud. And that's why ICE showed up. ICE wasn't coming to Minnesota till the fraud was uncovered, dumbass. But when you got Somali fraud being uncovered in the billions of dollars by a youngster journalist because your local media doesn't do shit about it, because once again, local media works in concert with the Democratic arm to make sure their side is always protected. How come it took an outsider busting the fraud in Minneapolis? Because the local media doesn't do their job. Because they're too busy worrying, protecting those that are in charge, because the gravy train keeps flowing. So that's why ICE went there. Don't say ICE caused this. No, sir, you caused it. Biden caused it by allowing all these illegal immigrants to come into this country unchecked, to set up these nonprofits or whatever, learning centers, leering centers, Somali kabuki dookie touches centers that get millions of dollars of government funding that your AG never checked, that you, sir, never bothered to look into. Actually, that was the group that you pandered to because you wanted to make them feel welcome in Minnesota in the name of inclusiveness. That's what it happened. But we'll see how all this plays out. No one's going to jail. Same shit, different day. But I guarantee if I did some fraud, if I didn't pay my taxes, I guarantee I'll get arrested. No, little Patrick here, owes about $5,000. Let's go cuff him up. Let's go take his car. Make sure you come get me, because why? I'm the everyday American. You got to make an example out of me. And then we got the SAVE Act. I heard the SAVE Act got through the House today, but we still don't have enough at the Senate, I believe. Last count, I think we're in the 40s. But take a look at what was put out by the Gateway Pundit. Just a little post that they put out that just tells you 28% of U.S. voter verifications have no match at Social Security Administration. 1 out of 4? 1 out of 4.3? Like, are we kidding me? A little more than 25%? How the hell we know who's voting, when voting? How do we know anything's good? Because our election system is trash. Accountability has never smacked our government in the face. The people in charge continue to do what they want to do because they have to actually hold themselves accountable, which they never will. So this is what we get. Hijacked election systems, don't know what's real. All of it, all the time. And you talk about illegals, right? Illegals have the opportunity to vote. I bet you illegals do vote in our elections all over the place. Our election system's rotted. You need voter ID, in-person, hard hand ballots. Boom. That's it. It's so simple, but yet so hard. Why? Because the fraud is needed by the left in order to achieve their goals. So they will keep pushing at this, pushing at this, pushing at this. Doesn't matter that 28% of U.S. voter verifications have no match. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that 70% of Democrats believe this SAVE Act should be passed. It doesn't matter because they need the chaos of the system in order to keep the system hijacked by them. That's why. And then you have that happening. Then you have illegal immigration happening. You have voter fraud happening, and you have people that overstay their visas here in America. Right? That's another problem of illegal immigration. Right? Those people that overstay visas. You know, are they collecting money from the government? Are they actually taking an American job that an American should have now? Right? What are those things that are occurring? Let's play B4.
As of today, there's 2.1 million people in the country who have expired or expiring visas. The government doesn't have a plan to have temporary mean temporary. We've seen the asylum system extremely abused. And at the same time, they're still sitting very high levels of immigration without undertaking any sort of reform.
So yeah, we have 2.1 million illegal immigrants in the country. I'm sorry, illegal visa stayovers. Meaning they should have left, meaning they should be gone, but they're not, right? So what is the fallout for all that? What does that mean? American jobs are taken. Okay, maybe some of these guys are on public assistance, housing, right? All the things that Americans may possibly need access to, they don't get because 2.1 other million people are getting them, right? It's all a numbers game. And if 2.1 million people here are here illegally working, that's taken away 2.1 million jobs from Americans that need jobs. It's not that hard to understand. It is really not that hard to understand. But yet the Democrats continuously fight any measure to tighten up our border security, to tighten up immigration policy, to tighten up deportations, right? It's like they want to bleed our country dry and eventually lead us to collapse. Because the stuff that is going on in our country is not sustainable. And I'll be honest, I don't believe President Trump is getting enough done. There's more that needs to be done. Like, what has been his major victory in his first year in office? What can he hang his hat on? Executive orders that get ignored at the state levels. He passes one big, beautiful bill. Deportations that he is now slowing down the throttle on because of the PR that took place in Minnesota. So what does he have to hang his hat on? And he still hasn't done anything about the elections. SAVE Act's not passed. Maduro's in jail. Is there this wide cast net coming, President Trump, where you're going to arrest everyone and bust open this election system, or nothing's going to happen here? And then today, the director of ICE, Todd Lyons, was on the Hill. He testified that there's over 1.6 million illegal immigrants in the country with existing deportation orders. So you have illegal immigrants that have deportation orders that need to go too. So you have 2.1 million on expired visas. You have 1.6 million illegals here with deportation orders, right? That in itself is 3.7 million people that are still in this country illegally. Not to mention the other hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that came here illegally. And then out of those millions, how many are committing crimes or on public assistance, taking money away from the American people? Or yeah, I'll give you one better. How about they work, get the money, and then they don't pay taxes on it and then send it back to their families? Because that happens too. So who becomes a sucker in all this? The American people who do things the right way. Enough is enough. But the ones up top don't give a shit because they don't ever have to deal with it. They have more money than we do. They don't care about the taxes. They know the loopholes. They have the accountants. They have the laws on their side. They have the judges on their side. It's just us here on the ground floor, Americans, that then get lumped together with illegal immigrants and criminals and pedophiles that constantly are let back on the streets by the corrupt justice system that we're in the middle of. We're all thrown in together. Stuff needs to get done, guys. Stuff needs to get done. And then we're gonna finish with this one. You have a U.S. District Judge, James Boasberg, has ordered the Trump administration to facilitate the return of more than 100 illegal Venezuelan men. You cannot make this up. These illegals were deported last year. The court claims that they were deported without notice or an opportunity for a hearing, or otherwise provide them with due process to contest the removal under the Alien Enemies Act. So you have activist judges now that want us to go into Venezuela, find the people we dropped off, bring them back here to give them a hearing. Illegal immigrants are entitled to hearings. Do you hear this? When the Constitution was it written for just the American people? Was it written for this country? The moment you cross over into this country, if you do it illegally, do you still get every protection? Was it designed that way? Those are hard questions. I know what I believe. Our Constitution was written not for this to be taken advantage of, like. I can guarantee that. And yes, criminal illegal aliens need to go. But yet these activist judges feel that they have a right to tell the President of the United States, nope, bring them back. They need to be here. They deserve a hearing. But if you're an American that is fired for saying you're a proud American, and you want to sue your former employer for lying to you about why you were fired, and you have all the evidence to support that you caught them in a lie, the courts say, nope, denied. That's okay, though. No hearing for you, sir. Back of the line, Patrick Hogarty. Not anymore. Not anymore. So, yeah, it's a war for our kids. The judicial system is under attack all the time. So, yeah. Interesting times we live in. Interesting times. I didn't say burn it down today, but I am telling you, protect your kids, share the knowledge, hold them close, love them, build them with principles, ground them in principles, because those principles will serve them for life. You don't want the principles being instilled in them by corrupt communist educators. You don't. You want to be the ones that give your kids the principles to live on. I'm not telling you what your principles are. I know what I believe good principles are, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to tell you my principles. I'm just here to tell you, make sure you give your kid the principles you believe are most important. Because if you don't, the schools will. And your kids will most likely acquiesce to what the schools want because they want that affirmation. It is a tricky, slippery, disgusting slope we're in. And it is psychological warfare against our kids. And we all need to be aware of it. And we need to call it out when we see it. And we need to educate those that are uninformed. We need to spread awareness. And then if they still choose to turn the blind eye, so be it. But at least you could say, I tried. So unfortunately, if something terrible is to happen to a young lady in female sports that is related to a white liberal women, I'm sorry. But it's only a matter of time before one of your daughters is subjected to what we saw in the class in this video today. And I'm not cheering for this. I'm not calling for it. It's just statistically what's going to happen. Women that are in sports playing against men will continuously be victimized until it stops. I'm going to pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the tremendous opportunity to sit in the chair today and to connect with the Untamed Nation family. Dear Lord, please look over Joe as he's undergoing his procedure today. Please allow him to rest well and recover and have him back in his chair on Monday, ready to go. Dear Lord, thank you for my loving family, my boy, my wife, and my support system that allowed me to get through, I would say, pretty much the darkest times in my life. after what happened with Cherry Creek. Just thank you for having them in my life and being my rock. Hey, Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, love you guys. Thank you for watching over us. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here. Hopefully you'll be here too. Class dismissed.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Coomers, lies, dominions, deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Roman, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud, dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor up, governor up, governor up, governor up, governor up, governor up. Whoa. Rise up, untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Jocelyn's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating no games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the Untamed crew. Truth matters through and through.